On today's show, I'm dreaming of a hot Christmas. Are you there, God? It's me, Margaret. Will God answer, or will it be La Llorona picking up the phone? Movie Talk starts right now. Roll it.
La Llorona.
La Llorona.
I just want to do it like that in Spanish.
I feel like you'd be the right guy for that voice.
Sí.
That is Haleigh Foutch. She always shows up to play her A game. Over there is the guy just doing it for the paycheck, John Rocha. And I'm merely Mark Ellis. I live here, so of course, why wouldn't I show up to host the show? Thank you both for joining me. Huge news day today. We're going to kick off with some Guardians info, but before we get to all of that, we had some fantasy football discussion. Pre-show, we had some discussion about Haleigh's weekend, which apparently is going to involve more work. Haleigh, you do the witching hour. What else are you doing around here? Why are they making you work on a Saturday and a Sunday?
Oh, it's just for the love of the game, man.
You just love playing the game.
It's horror season. I gotta keep up. I gotta keep the site full of horror content.
A lot of horror content. So November 1st, Haleigh will be one happy woman. John Rocha, on the other hand, you're just playing at parties left and right this weekend.
I am. I'll be at parties all weekend. It's my birthday this week. This weekend birthday parties. My birthday is this weekend to have a party. Freaking hell. I'm old. No, I'm having a party this weekend for my birthday, which is next Tuesday or Wednesday. I just want to introduce Haleigh's segments. I want to do Haleigh's segments on YouTube.
You should.
It's time for horror season with Haleigh. I think that'd be perfect. Don't you think that's good?
I think we can work that out.
Yeah, man. Let's do it. I'll put on a mask and everything.
I think maybe a little bit of that birthday frosting has gone to your head. So, I will remind you guys that a week from tomorrow is the big Los Angeles show that I'm headlining. Mark Ellis and friends at Los Globos Theater right here in Los Angeles, California. You can get tickets at markellislive.com. Use the promo code Schmoes. Tickets are going fast, so grab them while you still can. The show starts at 8 p.m. I'm headlining it, but a bunch of great comics are on the show as well, including somebody who may be on this very desk. It's either Haleigh or Rocha. It's going to be up.
Unless you're going to tell me something. I think it's Rocha.
John Rocha, do you want to officially announce that
I was asked the other day. I know there was supposed to be a competition being Sheridan, but Sheridan chickened out, went to Germany. He's running to Germany. So it's me now.
Germany to avoid doing a set.
That's right. He went to Germany, shaved his beard and everything. He's going to the fatherland. So I get to step in and do a few minutes. Not sure what I'm going to do. Come watch me crash and burn, or maybe make you laugh. You never know.
Josh McCouga and Kent Knapsack will be hosting together, so you can enjoy them. They'll be bringing up John Rocha, T, who you know from Movie Talk and Cinefix, my good friend Candace Thompson from The Tonight Show. Some other special guests might pop in, and then me. It's going to be a good time. Once again, you can get tickets at markellislive.com. And here's a special thing just for you kids, as I said on Collider Live earlier this week. Right now, I have a pinned tweet. My Twitter account is to how to get tickets. If you go and retweet that right now, you're in the running for a $50 gift card from Fandango/Rotten Tomatoes. All you got to do is hit retweet, share with all your friends, let them know that I'm around. And if you do Rocha, you can't do it.
Son of a...
It doesn't count.
You know
if
what?
You're performing on the show, it doesn't count. Haleigh can do it, but you can't. So come on and enjoy some of the festivities next weekend. In the meantime, we have some movie news to get to, and we kick off with the latest and greatest, well, the latest in the world of the MCU, Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Now, we don't know a lot about this movie. We do know that it has been pushed due to losing the writer-director / James Gunn, although most recent indications include that we will still be shooting James Gunn's script, but production apparently has been delayed all the way to 2021, and the working title of the film is Hot Christmas. So the internet went crazy because they heard that Guardians of the Galaxy 3 was called Hot Christmas, and they said, what the hell are they doing over there? It's the working title in the same way that the working title of the Star Wars Solo movie was Red Cup. Get it? For more reference, Avengers Infinity War's working title was Mary Lou. These names do not mean anything. I think The Force Awakens or either The Last Jedi was Space Bears, something like that. Yeah. So it means absolutely nothing. Hey, look, Hot Christmas. Do we read anything into the working title, or do we read more into the fact that production may not start for a couple of years, Haleigh Foutch?
Yeah, no, you nailed it. The working titles don't mean anything. They're usually an inside joke among the filmmakers or something kind of cheeky, like you pointed out too. And Winter Soldier, I think, was Freezer Burn, which is like, cute. But they're just little jokes. The production being pushed is, I think, more of something to eyeball. I mean, that's a that's a delay.
Yeah, I mean, I read February 2021, and I thought it was a misprint that that's when the movie's supposed to come out. No, that's when production is going to start on the movie, and this was the film that, according to James Gunn, back when he was on the project, said that this was going to be the film that is going to launch the next 10 years of the MCU. So, Haleigh, do you think that we just completely had to reconfigure everything and where we're putting things and where we're announcing things within the context of Phase 4 because of these changes?
Yeah, I think it's, if they really were planning to hinge Phase 4 off of Guardians 3, then if you lose your captain of your ship, so to speak, you've got to rebuild or at least replan. And that's, I mean, that'd be like if they lost Joss Whedon right before Avengers was supposed to happen. It's a major factor.
Rocha, did you read into that James Gunn? I mean, because again, this is the guy at the time who was making the film, so naturally he's going to be excited about what his movie is going to bring to the larger landscape of the MCU. I look at them, I have always having Captain Marvel in between Avengers, Infinity War, and the next film, whatever that's going to be called. And I look at her as much as I would look at Guardians 3 to being the person or the film that's going to usher us into the new phase along with Black Panther and Spider-Man. But do you think that there really was some reconfiguring with the MCU because of the recent events with Guardians 3?
I think you can't help but come to that conclusion, honestly. And I think for a number of reasons, not just the James Gunn stuff, but also Batista. And then you have this idea of like, well, who's going to come back? Who's not going to come back? How does that adjust? You have Ruffalo revealing to us a few weeks ago that even the ending of Avengers 4 was still being worked out. So who's going to come back? Who's not going to come? How's that going to work? You got Batista being pretty active on Twitter saying, hey, I'll sign up for Suicide Squad 2, jumping brands from Marvel to DC. So you got a lot of things to work on. I also think this is a political move by the MCU, by Marvel, by Disney a little bit, because if you put a little bit of distance between all this drama, then that kind of dies down for a little bit. People focus on your other movies. They're going to focus on Captain Marvel. They're going to focus on what's on Avengers 4. And then, of course, the announcement yesterday about a few days ago about Black Panther 2. So there's a lot of good news around this pushing. And so I think they are reconfiguring everything because, like you said, James Gunn was going to launch the next 10 years of Guardians of the Galaxy. So there's a lot they need to untangle. And don't be surprised if they come to this, and don't be surprised if they absolutely write a new script. Do not be surprised if they toss out Gunn's script, both Sean and James. Sean doesn't come back either. Don't be surprised by that, and they move on to another script. This gives them a window to hash out what they want to do. Remember, James took a long time to work out, and it was, of course, the script was originally written by I think it's one or two other female writers originally wrote the Guardians of the Galaxy script. Then James came in and did what he did with it, and then he wrote the second one. But I think if the MCU is smart to push this back, because they're going to take some time, figure out, are we going to keep all the Guardians? And if we're not, who's going to take their spots? What new Guardians are going to come into this situation and what have you? So I think it buys them time. It's a smart move overall. And we can like kind of readjust our heads because there's going to be a lot of other MCU films coming down the pike. I do love Hot Christmas, though. I think that's brilliant. And I'll tell you why, because Adam Warlock was teased at the end of Guardians of the Galaxy 2. He is nicknamed Marvel Space Jesus. So Christmas is about Jesus too. So I thought it was a fun little play, and it's just smart in terms of the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, I mean, I do wonder if this is just a situation where if you push it back a little bit, you have to push it back a lot because of all the cast involved and what their various schedules are, because Chris Pratt has a full slate. Zoe Saldana, if she's going to be we don't know we don't know what Dave Bautista's interest level in doing this movie is. But to your point, Rocha, about the script, I think you almost have to rewrite the script a little bit because it's going to be taking place, and we're already going to have seen films that we weren't originally going to have seen at the time that Guardians 3 was going to be released, because after Spider-Man, we know we're getting Black Panther 2. We know we're going to get a Doctor Strange 2. We know we're getting a Black Widow film of some sort. Which movie do you think would be the next logical fit after Spider-Man? And this is, again, us trying to prognosticate and look into our crystal ball, because we have no idea what the events of Avengers 2 or Spider-Man Far From Home are going to be. They're going to leave us at a point where Guardians 3 could have been the film that picked up all those pieces and ushers us forward. So who would you look to if it's not going to be Guardians 3? Is it Doctor Strange or is it Black Panther 2?
I think based on the reaction this year, it's got to be Black Panther 2. I mean, that movie took everybody by surprise, and it's been quite a delay since the first Doctor Strange, which gives me the impression that they're not leaning into that as the future of their franchise, so to speak. Another reason I think they have to delay it, though, is because these Guardians films have been such a product of James Gunn's personality and his humor and his zaniness. And if you give that to a new filmmaker, they're going to want to take their pass at the script. If they stick to the same script, they're going to want to make it in their image, so to speak.
Right, and delaying the production, Rocha, does buy them the time to just let all this settle even more. So maybe we're not even talking about that, and we especially won't be talking about that if not only does Guardians 3 come out in the end of 2021, beginning of 2022. God, am I still going to be alive then? I don't know. But it could also feature, if you talk about ushering in new characters, hey, maybe some deals have been finalized. Ink is dry on paper where you have the X-Men, you have Fantastic Four, and they're able to come in. Am I crazy?
No, I don't think crazy at all. I think that's a great thing you bring up.
It'd be a nice Christmas present.
It would be a lot of fun to see that. And I think that's what they're waiting to do, why they're pushing it back. And it shows you how much value they have in this particular title, because they love Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 and 2 so much that they don't want to rush it. And I give them a lot of credit for that. And I wonder if it's going to be Black Panther 2 that launches it, or Spider-Man Homecoming. I am interested to see Spider-Man Far Away From Home, if there's going to be even more, because you talk, where's the Black Widow movie going to be in all this as well? And then you throw in, I think, and then is Taika Waititi going to come back and do another Thor movie? So there's a lot that's still in motion here, a lot of things that need to happen. But I don't think it's a coincidence that this news is coming out just a few days after the Ryan Coogler thing. I think this is their way of going like, we got this in place, we're going to push this back just a little bit, we're going to keep people on hold right now.
Well, Guardians also sort of helped redefine what the MCU could be and what it could look like and how zany it could get, how far out. And ahead of Ant-Man and the Wasp, we heard in interviews that this was going to be something that Marvel really wanted to lean in on going forward, which would have made Gunn the perfect point man to take them in that direction. So is it still going to be that way? Are they still going to continue to get weirder, to get more psychedelic? We'll see.
Right.
And another thing, some of these reports that have been coming out in some of these news articles saying that there's still time to repair this relationship down the road. I'm like, is that possible? A 3-year window, is that long enough for people to forgive James Gunn and move forward, or Disney and Marvel to come back to it would be shocking if they did this, and especially with the way that they feel like they went through the whole process to give James Gunn to feel like he's been heard by everybody all the way up the chain. It would be interesting if this Suicide Squad 2 script comes out so well, he directs it, maybe it's a success, then they go, wait a minute, maybe we should bring you back to direct your script, blah, blah, blah. So I was surprised to hear some reports say that they don't think that relationship is 100% dead. Like, I'm surprised by that.
I really liked y'all as panelists going into this shoot and this conversation today, and I just have the utmost more respect for y'all now, being professional after hearing what's going on next door. For those of you who may not be in the studio right now, we have 2 different studios and they're right next to each other. In our B studio right now, they're shooting a reaction to Josh McCouga, who is currently watching a horror movie for the very first time. And if you know anything about McCouga or horror movies, they don't mesh well, and he tends to get loud. So if you hear something that sounds wailing like you might witness when you see the Llorona trailer later on today, that's Josh McCouga next door. So we'll try to keep our game faces on and work on patting those walls, Adam. Well, a movie that Josh McCouga probably should not see anytime soon is A Quiet Place, and now the sequel is going to be written by Mr. John Krasinski. Now, this is something exciting because Krasinski is now on board to write it, and initially he had balked at the idea of coming back to write it. It was going to be in somebody else's hands after the hit movie had come out earlier this year, where he directed it, wrote it, starred in it, and so now he is going to be back. He's got the whole backstory that he's already got in his basement somewhere, apparently. The movie is set to come out on May 15th, 2020. This is really exciting to me because it's his vision and he's going to see it through. Now, he's not going to direct the film from all reports, but I like the fact that he's writing it. Do you think we'll see him? Do you think we'll see a new family? Rocha, where do you think John Krasinski, if you're in that basement with him looking at all this storyboard stuff, where do you think it's going to go?
Well, a few weeks ago when we talked about this, I thought, what an interesting novel way to create a new franchise blueprint for a film like this, to have different families in different continents telling the story about this happening to them. Separate movies, one from Africa, one from, wherever, South America, whatever. You get all these, and even Australia, these different type of different type of approaches to this film and see what you can do with it. I would be excited to see that. But being said, the idea of Krasinski's coming back, I'm excited about it. I like that he took his time to. Once again, here's another guy, not rushing back to write it. He initially was like, I'm not going to do it. I can't find it. I've got an idea, but I don't know. And then, they meet other people. His production company does. Then Krasinski has a small idea. They tell him to go work on it, and then it clicks. And that's the mark of a true artist, right? There's no rush to create this thing. He understands and values it as much as we do, who watched it and loved it. And so he wants to give it that time and attention. And he's not running back to do a sequel as we used to see in old school horror films, part 2 next year, part 3 next year. There's more involved here. And I applaud Krasinski for taking his time to come back to it. And hopefully the story he's going to tell is fantastic.
Right.
But I don't see his family coming back. I think it's going to be a whole new family.
And that was the fear with it initially, is that, because they greenlit it so quick. Yeah. Haleigh, it was almost like the weekend after it came out. It's like, well, okay, we're doing A Quiet Place too, and we're like, okay, let's pump the brakes on this. But it is coming out in May of 2020, so that does give it some time. And apparently, according to these reports, John Krasinski did sit and think about it, and he had this idea, and the producers told him, well, we're hearing pitches, but go ruminate on that and go think on this one for a while. And he came back and said, yeah, I think this one would really work. So I know what a huge horror enthusiast you are. This is maybe the way that you like to see it, where they actually get to let the idea gestate as opposed to having it forced into production.
Absolutely, yes. That's almost always superior. And it's a smart move on the studio's part when they did set that second release date to give it a little breathing room to figure out the creative direction they wanted to take, who they wanted to bring on board, maybe give Krasinski a little time to crack that nut of an idea. I love that he's coming back. It was 2 other gentlemen whose name escapes me right now that wrote the initial script. But when Krasinski came on board, he took a major pass at it and changed huge elements of the script. The opening sequence with the death of their first child their youngest was supposed to be told in flashbacks while they were talking to each other. And he was like, no, we got to make this present. We got to put the audience in the experience, which I think is a huge difference. The film doesn't work the same without that opening scene. He came up with little details like the sand pathways that they would walk on. He just brought a lot to the script, even though it wasn't his initial idea. So I'm excited to see him build out that universe he's clearly very invested in.
Yeah, it was Brian Woods and Scott Beck, I believe, were the 2 other writers.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And not just that, he hired a deaf actress because he wanted to have authenticity, not just an actress playing deaf. He wanted to have a deaf actress and show what this world would be like. And he probably learned as much from her on the set of how it would be to be quiet the whole time, to hear all of that. So it's just great. It's the mark of a great artist, the understanding how to make this as authentic as possible.
Yeah, it was a live Twitter question, might have even been yesterday, where I didn't get the chance to ask Haleigh, do you think that A Quiet Place, it merits award consideration? Because it came out early in the year, and when it comes out at that time of the year, you say, well, so far, this is the clubhouse leader, so to speak. Do you think that it could sneak into an Oscar race in any category?
Yeah, if it does, my guess would probably be technical categories and or acting for Emily Blunt, although that usually gets pretty competitive by year's end. I was one of the people who liked the film quite a bit, but was never on the awards train for it. I just think it's a really great piece of blockbuster thriller horror. I'm not sure that it's going to have a shot once all the award season movies start to stack up in theaters.
I start to think I have the ears like the creatures do, because every time I hear that little kid that lives above me in the apartment above just running back and forth, I just go crazy, and I turn into the monsters from A Quiet Place. Sorry. Okay, we move on to Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. Yeah, the book. It's being adapted into a movie, the classic coming-of-age tale. First released in 1970 from Judy Blume. She finally has granted the rights to a production company, and said production company is Gracie Films. Gracie Films in concert with Kelly Freeman Craig. Now, Kelly was the director of The Edge of 17, and it might have been seeing how she handled that material that allowed Judy Blume to say, hey, you know what? I think that this is the right person, because Craig is also going to be directing, writing and directing, or adapting the screenplay and directing Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. Be honest with you, never read the book. I think my sister had it, never picked it up myself. Haleigh, Rocha, you ever investigate? Are you there, God? It's me, Margaret.
Oh yeah, this looks like. Listen, I don't want to date myself, but this was. I remember when this was a.
I don't want to date you either.
I was growing up when this was a controversy. When this was massive. Like I remember this coming out it came out, but I remember it being in middle school when girls were discovering it and being like, and then talking about. And I remember being banned. I remember being told like you had to get your parents' permission to check this book out of the library.
It's girls that form a secret society, and they talk about boys and whatever else is going on.
Menstrual cycles, patting your bra, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I read it later in life just because I was curious about it, because I always loved the title. Are you there, God? And it's almost like forbidden fruit. Like it's like, oh, you're not supposed to read this, like that kind of thing. And so I read, and it's actually it's incredible. That's a book that only came out in 1970 because it does help a lot of girls going through that transitional period in their life to feel that, hey, someone else went through this too. Someone else connected to this too. And so I think it's fantastic. I never thought in a million years in my life that I would be on a panel talking about this becoming a movie. Like I just remember I always joked about this book as I got older. Like, hey, it's not Are You There, God? It's me, Margaret. There's a whole other thing here where it's allowed to be read. And so those guys. So I think it's fascinating, and I think it just speaks to the movement now with everything that's happening, female empowerment, all this happening in this. They've finally found a moment that it's time to make this movie. And Judy Blume, who's 80 years old, finally stepping back a little bit and going, yeah, okay, now I'm ready to let these books become films. And I hope they do a great job with this, because this one did speak to a lot of women through the years.
Yeah, and even if you didn't read it, like I didn't read it, it's in the zeitgeist.
Totally.
It's in that pop culture lexicon. Haleigh, did you actually investigate the material?
I know it sounds like I should have read it. I never did. No, I could have used the feeling like I was with other people. No, I never did. I think actually when I was looking stuff up before coming on this panel, I don't believe I ever read any Judy Blume books, which is crazy. But the idea of Kelly Freeman Craig doing this, having seen what she could do at the age of 17 and knowing the basics of this book, it seems like an honest match made in heaven. I mean, I will watch that movie for sure, whether I like the book or not.
Right. You talk about coming of age and how they really are able to utilize stories like that as hits, and they can be made on a budget. You look at Bo Burnham's 8th grade, same kind of thing. This is Margaret's a 6th grader, at least according to, I don't know how much they'll change or massage the material or try to update it for modern times, or whether they're going to keep it in a 1970-ish vibe. So be interesting either way, but I agree with you all that I think Kelly Freeman Craig is the right person to be doing this, or at least she's one of the viable candidates and she has the job. They don't even have a production company or a distributor, I should say, but they're going to settle all that once they actually have the script and they're ready to shoot, and it's going to be a movie, and I think it's probably about time to have that title come out.
And I also think James L. Brooks being involved in this is great too. If you remember Terms of Endearment, if you remember Broadcast News, those are two very powerful females leading those movies, and Shirley MacLaine and Deborah Winger and Holly Hunter. So he understands how to let this material breathe and let it be honest and respectful to the opposite gender. So that's great.
You bring up such an interesting point of they're going to keep it in the 70s or update it, because if they set it now, the set of issues facing teenagers is some of that is like eternal and will always be there, but it's so different now. Like, do they have to rewrite it with Twitter and online bullying and things like that?
I would imagine that's the way it's going to go. I think it's if you're trying to market it to kids who are going through that today, I think it might be very hard for them to go back and watch what it was like to grow up in the South. I'd be interested to see it, but I think it's easier to sell it as a modern day tale than it is something, let's look back and see what growing up used to be like and the pressures that you had back then that are more prevalent now, that aren't as prevalent. I don't know. I think you probably update it, but we'll wait to see on that. Well, something that you don't have to wait any longer. Actually, depending on where you live, you might have to wait a few more hours, is Halloween. Halloween, the movie comes out. The holidays a couple weeks away still, but the movie comes out literally tonight. You can see the sneak previews tonight and all weekend long. I have a feeling the movie's going to do very well, and you can check out our special spoiler-free and spoiler reviews up at Collider. Schmoes has it going up as well, so check all that stuff out. As soon as you see the movie, come on back and check out the Halloween spoiler review. Are y'all going back to the theater this weekend to give Halloween another go, Haleigh?
I will, yeah. I saw it at Fantastic Fest, and I've been wanting to revisit it since then. I can't wait to see it, and I can't wait to see it with just a regular crowd crowd, see how they respond to it, as opposed to, Fantastic Fest is filled with genre nuts, so you're going into a made audience almost. I want to feel it with just a regular crowd at the theater.
Yeah.
John Rocha, you find time in your busy birthday celebration weekend when you're not making the waiters at Applebee's sing to you? You're gonna sneak into Halloween?
Yeah, I'm gonna see it. I did not see it this week because I kind of.
Oh yeah, you missed it.
Yeah, I changed my mind. I changed my mind, and I thought I'm gonna go see it with I don't want to go to a press screening where people are going to be like, "Oh, I don't want to scream too much." I want to see it in a theater full of Josh McCougas jumping up down, going crazy, screaming, screaming or whatever. But I did want to see with people who are going to enjoy the film and let themselves enjoy it and go crazy and scream and jump and go nuts. And so, because I like the Halloween franchise a lot.
I sat next to that hairy, sweaty furball watching it, and it was like,
oh my God, I can't even imagine that.
It went from me like genuinely enjoying the movie and getting some scares to just me being the apologizing to everyone around. Just, I'm so sorry about my son. He gets a little nervous in big crowds. It was.
You shouldn't bring children into R-rated movies.
You really shouldn't. And he's hosting the show next week. So who's the idiot now? Well, if we go from one movie Josh probably shouldn't see to another one, and that would be The Curse of La Llorona, directed by Michael Chaves, and the film comes out next. I think it's April, right? April 19th, 2019. The trailer hit, and I think we did a reaction already on Collider, and this is a movie that looks like it could be that horror movie to beat early going next year because it's got it all. It's got a scary looking, you have this curse of this real life popular folklore, this woman that apparently she drowns her kids, and then she comes to and she realizes what she's done and she commits suicide, and then that's the spirit that's cursed in the afterlife, roaming around looking for her children. She can't find her children. She feels bad for killing them. So what's she going to do? Yeah, she's just going to keep killing more kids, I guess. That's how you solve that one. And La Llorona is currently on the list. The movie takes place in the 1970s. I really dug this trailer. I thought it had all the right chills. And it's cool to see, as I believe Perry pointed out yesterday in the trailer reaction, that it gives you notes of what the movie's about and gives you some beats, but then it just shows you a nice little scene. And a little scene that is really freaky and is going to freak out people when they see it. I think it's going to be a fun movie, and it's the kind of trailer where you see this and you say, Michael Chaves, this is the reason why this guy was handpicked by James Wan to take over the Conjuring franchise, because he is the director of The Conjuring 3. So when you see this trailer, you're going to say, hey, that guy is doing the next Conjuring movie, John Rocha.
Yeah.
Now that you've seen the trailer for The Curse of La Llorona, do you like the call about this film and The Conjuring 3?
Absolutely. This looks fantastic. And, I love, and it's, of course, as being Latino, this is our culture, the creation of these kinds of spirits and ghouls connected to a religious thing, and all of that is very deep in the culture. We have, being South American, my mom and dad told me about different things that would scare me at night about where to go, what not to do, because all these legends are created so that kids don't go and do things in certain places they shouldn't be doing. This one was created. This is a Mexican one. It's a real legend, La Llorona. She's been around a long time, and it's taken many forms. It's about keeping you away from the river, keeping you up, not going out too late at night, that kind of stuff. So it excites me that they're tackling this. There's a lot of horror to explore in the Latino side of things. Let me just tell you, there's a lot of nuttiness. So this looks great. I love that Carlini is the lead. I was such a fan of her getting some lead roles finally, and so it's great to see her doing this kind of thing.
Right, she plays a social worker who starts to notice what's happened with these kids and has to investigate what's going on. And wouldn't you know it, La Llorona.
But that scene with the windows and everything, that's so good. So I'm excited to see what it's like. These are the kind of horror films that I enjoy, something interesting and different and fun and something I can actually connect to. And so I look forward to it. And I want to see what Conjuring 3 will be like in his hands. So
yeah, Haleigh, do you like the 70s vibe of this one? Because we were talking about Margaret and how maybe that should be updated. But as far as a horror movie goes, I love when you get the power windows aren't existing yet, so you just got to do the old-fashioned crank them down and pull up the locks. It made for a cool, chilling vibe.
Yeah, I like it, and I think it also points to why he's probably a good fit for The Conjuring, which is also a retro horror franchise. He also has some beautiful looking shots in this trailer. I'm not as wowed with it by you guys, but I saw the footage at Comic-Con, and this is mostly just a trimmed down version of what we saw. So it has less impact for me having already seen it. But really, the cinematography looks great, and the Linda Cardellini is always great. Yeah. And something that, you said you said, you talk about how this is going to be the early horror movie to beat, and you talk about how this is such a huge legend in Latino culture. I think it's going to be a massive box office success, and if they get it right, probably one of the bigger horror movies in recent memory. Horror consistently performs really well with Latin American audiences, and if they get this quintessential Central American legend right, then they're going to be rewarded with so much box office.
Yeah, and I think the authenticity helps because my only apprehension watching this trailer, if you're starting to prognosticate how well it might do at the box office, is that it does feel similar to The Nun, where The Nun is just, it's this thing that came out and it was a huge success at the box office, but you wonder if people see this movie and think, oh, well, this is just a ripoff of The Nun, which the fact that it is an authentic, going back centuries with stories like this, I think that helps and gives it a shot in the arm to be like, no, this is its own story, and we're not just piggybacking off a popular horror cult thing.
Yeah, and it's been used before. There's a Mexican film back in the, I think, 50s or 60s that did it. Grimm did an episode of it in 2012 where they used La Llorona as one of the characters. So this is a legend that has a lot of weight in the Latin American community. So it's fun that they're kind of opening the doors a little bit to explore this kind of thing. And it's not a surprise that The Nun now, in retrospect, made as much as it, that's another one, religious kind of situation in a foreign country, like that kind of stuff works. And let's see if they get it right. Like hopefully they get it right in this one, and it does that as well.
All right, The Nun versus Michael Myers versus La Llorona. Who wins?
Well, Michael Myers is probably screwed because he ain't a ghost.
Yeah. I'd have him out as well. I think Mike goes out first. Yeah. Then you get The Nun versus La Llorona. I don't know. That's a tough one to call.
I take La Llorona because she's been around for a long time. Michael just showed up in comparison to
how
long she's been around. Yeah, experience. Oh, yeah, veteran experience.
This is like a senior playing a freshman.
Yeah, exactly. She doesn't need to drive the lane. She could pop the tray from the outside. You let Michael hunker down in there.
I don't know. Ghost versus demon. Who walks out of that? I don't know if there's a horror background for that battle.
That's good, Haleigh. What's the pecking order?
Yeah, exactly.
If only there was a movie where horror villains fought Freddy versus Jason. All right, I'll go to bed. Let's turn slightly from Freddy versus Jason to award season. Hey, it's award season, and we had one of the first big ones of the year kick off with the nomination announcements, and that would be for the annual IFP Gotham Awards. It's the 28th annual one, and these award independent films and series, and the nominations for your feature film category include The Favorite, First Reformed, If Beale Street Could Talk, Madeline, and The Rider. There's a number of other categories of note. I wanted to spotlight just a couple of them real quick. Best Actor is Adam Driver in BlacKkKlansman, Ben Foster in Leave No Trace, Richard E. Grant in Can You Ever Forgive Me, Ethan Hawke in First Reformed, and Lakeith Stanfield in Sorry to Bother You. And then for Best Actress, we have Glenn Close in The Wife, Toni Collette in Hereditary, Kathryn Hahn in Private Life, Regina Hall in Support the Girls, Michelle Pfeiffer closes out with Where is Kira? And there was a special jury award given to the ensemble cast of Olivia Colman, Emma Stone, and Rachel Weisz for their ensemble performance in The Favorite. So just a little taste. You can check out the full list. Collider.com has it. You can go check that out right now. Haleigh, I said a bunch of movies and some actors and some actresses.
Yeah.
Do you see one of these being the front runner in this award, or as we get into the bigger award shows later on this year?
Oh, man. I'm really happy to see two titles in there that I was hoping would survive the year, which is Hereditary and First Reformed, both, especially in the performance categories. Ethan Hawke and Toni Collette. Incredible in both of those films.
I did not catch First Reformed. I wanted to because I love Ethan Hawke. He's a close personal friend. I interviewed him once in 2012. Super nice guy. Yeah. And I want to see the film. Is it more like a hard-hitting drama kind of thing?
Yes, it is. So it's by Paul Schrader, who wrote Taxi Driver, and it's sort of analogous to that film. It's a man who meets, and he's a priest, and he counsels a man who has terrifying fears about the damaged not economy, goodness, our world, the end of the world, basically. Yeah, well, because we've ruined everything. And so that idea settles into this priest's head, and he starts to become more extremist himself and slowly unravel in that sort of Travis Bickle way. It's very good and very freaky.
Heavy stuff, and I think a guy like Ethan Hawke, you pull that off, you probably are going to get nominated.
Good.
So do you see him maybe getting nominations down the road, and Toni Collette maybe as well with Hereditary?
Well, if Toni Collette could, that would be a real coup for the horror world, because I think that's one of the best performances probably of all time, but it's the kind of thing that the Academy would usually turn their nose up at.
Yeah, I look at the film categories and I say, if Beale Street Could Talk is the one that I saw at the Toronto International Film Festival, and I think that when I saw it at the time, I said this is a front runner for obviously Oscars. You have 10 slots. I think if Beale Street Could Talk certainly belongs with one of those, at least thus far this year. So I was not shocked to see that one get nominated for the best feature category. Rocha, what are some of the names that might have stood out to you?
I like that Thomasin Harcourt Mackenzie got nominated for Leave No Trace. That's a fantastic film that I enjoyed with her and Ben Foster, and Foster's good in that film as well. The girl from 8th grade, Fisher, Elsie Fisher?
Ellie Fisher.
Ellie Fisher, yeah. I like that she got nominated. A lot of powerful work from her in that film. First Formed I haven't seen because there's no superhero costumes in it, so Ethan Hawke, I didn't want it. No, I'm joking.
He wears a priest costume. I mean,
yeah, it was a priest.
It's a look.
Right. He clarified his in an interview. I forgive him now, but I do.
Right.
This is Ethan. I know Ethan watches every day.
Does
Thanks for
he?
watching,
Yeah.
Ethan.
Does he?
This is a guy who watches Logan every morning. While he's shaving, he watches Logan. So.
I almost texted you last night as I was watching an hour of it last night. I almost texted you.
Did you really?
Yes, it started and I was like, oh, perfect, I'm in. I'm just going to have it on while
You
I'm
had all that
doing other
baseball
stuff.
action on, and you chose.
Well,
Okay.
I watched that later on. But no, there's a lot of great stuff here that I really enjoy. I like that Lakeith Stanfield is getting some credit for Sorry to Bother You. I know that was a divisive film for some people. I thoroughly enjoyed the hell out of that film, and I liked what he did with it. And all these list of nominees is great. Yeah, you want to talk about ratings for Oscars and all this kind of stuff, but this is about film work, about really good film work, about fantastic, nuanced, complex characters that bringing to life. And so all the people they've recognized here it's fantastic. So me personally as an actor, those are the things I gravitate to more. And then the overall films. I haven't seen The Favor yet. I'm looking forward to see that one. And Perry spoke glowingly about it, so I'm looking forward to really seeing it because I love Olivia Colman off of Broadchurch, and Rachel Weisz has been my crush since the first day I saw her, and Emma Stone is fantastic. So I'm looking forward to all. Plus, I enjoyed The Lobster. I didn't see Killing of a Sacred Deer, but I enjoyed The Lobster. But you talking about this now, I'm probably going to do a VOD on First or on Reformed and watch it.
I could
Highly
really get into a
recommend.
movie like First Reform. I get deep into those dramas. Like I like a movie that upsets me emotionally and just lets me forget about the 1-year-old that's running right there. Like you look up and it's just here, just all day. What are you going to tell him? Stop running? No, it's a kid. Go
And
ahead.
in case you guys were wondering what level my brain's at, the E word I couldn't remember, environment. Yeah, that's
a
how
movie
we're
that
going today.
A lot of our politicians seem to let escape from their heads. So.
Right, which is what is the film is essentially about him realizing that and then going crazy.
There you go.
One last thing, I do love that Catherine Hahn was nominated. I saw Private Life the other day. If you haven't seen that on Netflix, do yourself a favor and watch two incredible actors go through the real pain of trying to bring a child into the world. Like it's a fantastic. I had no idea I was going to enjoy that.
She
damn
has
movie.
so much versatility.
She's
just
fantastic.
a fantastic
Yeah.
performer all the way around. We're going to remind you guys, we're going to save some time in a little bit for your live Twitter questions. Go ahead and start tweeting us right now at Collider Video and use the hashtag Collider Movie Talk. And Adam, if we can, I would love to have either like maybe Cody Hall or somebody else come in here and get on the mic and just give us a live update as to exactly how it's going with Josh McCouga trying to get through It Follows, because
Cody's flying in.
Cody's flying in. If he can just come around here and he can hop on the camera, I want to know. I hear screams. I hear shill. I hear just
cars leaving at night.
gut-wrenching tears. So
Is he gonna make
our own
it?
Production guy Cody Hall is going to join us. Sorry about the Angels not quite still being in the playoff race.
Too soon, Mark. Too soon.
What's going on with Josh
Also
McCouga
too
next
soon.
door?
He was still screaming, and I walked in there and gave him like very angry stare and told him to keep it down, and then he has been completely quiet since. So I'm gonna make sure he's still okay. He'll be back.
Okay, Cody's going to go search on that. I remember It Follows being like it's a scary
I didn't think it was
movie.
that
It's a horror movie, but the screaming I'm hearing is more adept to like a jump scare, and It Follows. It's somebody walking behind you.
Yeah.
You know, it's, oh no, who's that behind me? Is that a person? No, that's herpes, and it's walking towards
my-
you, and you just have to outwalk herpes. and
Spoiler
you're fine.
alert.
Yeah, and I don't know that I saw that movie in the theater twice, and I never heard screams like that.
No.
Okay.
No, he's
Okay.
got a special reaction going on.
He's a special kind of guy, and that's why we love him. And happy birthday to his old man who turned 70 a couple of days
Yeah.
ago. Love you, John. Okay. We also want to remind you guys that tomorrow on Collider, it is a stacked day. We have TV talk, movie review talk, hosted by Scott freaking Mance. And for your consideration, they're going to be talking about Best Supporting Actress. So we'll get into that category, see who could be nominated there. There's the Collider Games Podcast, Sportsbook Weekend, and of course, the movie Trivia Schmoedown continues. Big match tomorrow. Make sure you guys are staying right here on Collider Video for all that fun action. All right. You were promised live Twitter questions, and here we go. Our first live Twitter questions. Robin Gatehouse has a question. I'm not sure that anybody's going to be able to answer because I'm putting you all on the spot, but if you have one, please throw it her way. What are some short films you can recommend and is possible to have great character development in a sub 20-minute runtime? Is it possible? Great show today, guys. And I guess I shouldn't presume Robin could be, doesn't have to be a female
The
name.
profile picture doesn't show it.
No, profile picture is. I'm not going to go exploring, Robin. It's like some sort of jukebox.
I'm sure Haleigh could answer.
If you enjoy short films, I can't speak to the character development angle, but if you enjoy short films, check out some of the stuff that Neil Blomkamp's been working on because he's been making short films that just they will blow your mind and remind you of the guy that did District 9. I loved Elysium, so it reminds me of that too. But Neil Blomkamp, we miss you. Come back to making feature films because the shorts he puts online are just out of this world awesome. Haleigh, do you have any short film recommendations for Robin?
There's probably going to be a bunch that I'm going to be kicking myself afterwards. But
it's a tough opener for live.
It is. The one that's coming to me right now, though, is I saw it at Fantasia Film Festival earlier this year. It's called Milk, and actually James Wan and his Atomic Monster company picked it up to turn it into a feature. And I totally get why, because it's creepy as shit, my man. It is very scary in a very short period of time. Of course, the point of that feature isn't to do character development. It's to scare you in as little time as possible.
But it is the goal of any short to just give as much insight into who this person is that's getting scared or who we're rooting for or following to survive or whatever. And there's things. And a lot of horror shorts have been the way directors have gotten the eye of somebody like a James Wan or a production company to say, hey, we like your short, go make a feature-length movie.
Yes, Andy Muschietti, who did It, his film Mama got made off of a short. David F. Sandberg, who did Lights Out, his film was a short first. And now this Milk film, which definitely, I'm not sure if it's available, it might not be, but if you see it playing at any local film festivals, and when it does inevitably end up online, I would seek that one out.
John Rocha, you've had time to search your phone.
No.
Any
Overwatch. All those shorts are fantastic. That's what I would say. Thunder Road is one that I think just came to mind that Jim Cummings did. I remember that one being really, a 20-minute exploration of the death of your mom and what he goes through, and really an incredible film. I don't see a lot of short films, so it's hard to remember them, to be honest with you, because I see them few and far between. But I remember that one being, as someone who's lost a parent, that one was it was a gut-wrenching experience, and the fact that he was just constantly talking and moving and doing what he was doing, I was just surprised at how much I wasn't irritated by it and how much it really did affect me. So that's one of those rare ones that I actually saw that I remembered.
Well, if you like shorts and you want to lighten the mood a little bit, check out our buddy RB3's new short. It's called Flick Ticks, and it came out last week on Saturday, and you can check it out right now. Just go to RB3's Twitter handle. I believe it's at Schmoes RB3. You can check out that. It's a movie that he made. He's a grad student at USC. He's a grad student, or he's a student. He goes to USC. He shows up. They let him take film classes, and he makes some kick-ass short movies, including Flick Ticks. You might see some familiar faces once you hit the play button. It's a thoroughly enjoyable parody of MoviePass and all of the rise and fall and everything going on with that company. Check out Flick Ticks. All right, our next question comes from DJ Infa7. Says, yo, Mark. So Sony announces that they're doing a multiple Spider-Man team-up, like Secret Wars. Would you like them to de-age Garfield and Maguire to star alongside Tom Holland? Would you be in for that? And I say, hell yes, I would be in for that. That's the kind of movie I want to see. Just has it doesn't need to have continuity with any other universe going on. Just give me all the Spider-Men and let them all just go fight a villain. I think it'd be a whole lot of fun.
Well, lucky for you, there's an animated film coming out in December where all these Spider-Men and Spider-Women are getting together to fight. So you can see that Into the Spider-Verse, which has Spider-Gwen, Spider-Ham, Spider-Man Noir, Spider-Man, and also Miles Morales' Spider-Man. So all those are in there, and there'll probably be more. I'm sure I'm forgetting some of the other Spider-Mans for the multiple dimensions that are rolling through. So, yeah. Now, in a fantasy world, absolutely, I'd love to see that. That'd be fantastic to see a whole team of Spider-Men taking on something. That'd be a lot of fun.
I say you don't de-age him. I want grumpy old Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. He's over it. He's let it go.
I actually like
not that Tobey Maguire has, but this fictional Spider-Man I'm making up in my head.
By the way, Tobey Maguire. Did you guys know about this and his gambling, his ability to play poker and stuff?
Yeah. No.
He's a brutal, ruthless
poker
player.
In Molly's game.
That's him, right?
Yeah, he's Michael Cera.
Michael Cera, it's him.
It's him.
Well, I was listening to a podcast.
Seems nice.
Matt Damon talked about it with Ben Affleck when Matt Damon was prepping for Rounders. Even back then, they knew about Tobey and his ruthlessness at the table. And Ben one time said to him, "Don't you ever play Tobey unless you want to lose your soul." And I'm like, wow. That's some scary ass stuff. So that Tobey Maguire coming back to play an angry Spider-Man, an old Spider-Man, a la Spider-Man Reign, I would be all down with.
Multiple Spider-Man. Okay, yeah, I kind of like Haley's idea better. I want Spider-Man at different ages. I want Grandpa Spider-Man. I want it. I want it all. Yeah, that's what I like. I would go for that with any superhero.
But there is a Grandpa. It's called Spider-Man Reign, Reign. It's a graphic novel. It's Spider-Man as a grandpa being dragged back into be a Spider-Man again. He's like an old man, white hair, the whole thing. It's fantastic. I'll bring it for you sometime.
I am totally in, and I will hold you to that. All right, one more question we're going to get out of here. Zach Spearman says, who do you think deserves an honorary Oscar? He's going to say David Cronenberg, as he's never been nominated competitively. So who deserves an honorary Oscar? And I guess this is a person who's never won an Oscar. Maybe they were nominated, but they never won, never got over the hump. I'm going to go with my heart, and I'm going to say Eddie Murphy deserves an honorary Oscar.
That's
Eddie
a fair point.
Just fantastic. I mean, are there people that have been more prolific of late? Yes, absolutely. But Eddie Murphy, what he's meant to the film world, especially in the 80s and 90s, what he did with movies like Beverly Hills Cop, The Nutty Professor, I think Eddie Murphy should get one. John Rocha, who's getting an honorary Oscar?
I agree with you, Eddie. Eddie should have won for Dreamgirls. There's nothing Alan Arkin did in Little Miss Sunshine that he hadn't done 45 other films. Not a damn thing he did different. Don't kill me. He
Sassy
did the same
2008 hot takes
I'm
over here.
I'm just saying.
Can we cast Alan Arkin as old Spider-Man, though?
Yeah, it'd be perfect. I'm not getting up on those webs. No, I would love to, I thought Eddie, but I would say now, because I'm an angry person, that Denis Villeneuve hasn't even been nominated for a damn directing Oscar. Villeneuve deserves that damn Oscar like nobody's business. Arrival, Blade Runner 2049, Sicario, all incredible films, and he has not even smelled an Oscar, and that's damn ridiculous. So that's the guy I would give an honorary, because I have a feeling they're never going to nominate him, so he might as well get an honorary one now.
Okay, Haleigh Foutch, you have the final word. Who should get the honorary Oscar?
Yeah, I mean, I like Villeneuve, but Cronenberg being pointed out makes me go get in line, son.
What?
Because
Cronenberg? For the fly?
Don't
make
me
absolutely.
Fight with you again.
He's done a lot. I mean, he's inspired a lot of film. I mean, the honorary Oscar is really something that honors your own work, but also the fact that you've inspired generations of filmmakers.
Right.
And Cronenberg certainly would be.
Okay.
He's remarkable, and he's made so many of my favorite films, so he would definitely be up there. I love that pick. Has David Fincher won an Oscar?
Ooh.
I don't know if David Fincher has won an Oscar.
Yeah, maybe. That's a good
And that would be pretty high up there.
Yeah,
he should get an honorary Oscar for Zodiac alone. Just because, here's
finally
your
caught Zodiac
delayed.
and really dug it.
It's so good.
Crack.
Really dug it.
It's crack.
Yeah.
If I see it on the guide, I try to avoid it because I will sink into that damn hole.
Hey, I think it was this that he was talking about. I believe Guillermo del Toro called it a one sock movie because you start putting your socks on, you see it on TV, and you never put the second one on.
It's true.
You just get sucked in.
Hey, you got multiple Avengers looking for the Zodiac Killer, so can't be all that bad. David Fincher has been nominated twice. Got nominated for The Social Network and for The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, but never won, not yet. But if Haleigh Foutch has anything to say about it, David Fincher, get your tux ready because you're getting an honorary Oscar next year. That does it for us for today and for this week of Collider Movie Talk. I want to thank my esteemed panelist, Haleigh Foutch, who will be working hard this weekend, John Rocha, who will be not working at all this weekend, but at least enjoying a Redskins victory over the Cowboys. On Sunday. I am merely Mark Ellis. Throw it to the wide to say goodbye. Thank you guys so much. Have a great weekend yourselves. We'll see you bright and early or mid-afternoon on Monday for a new Collider Movie Talk. Hey everybody, Mark Ellis here. Thanks for watching this episode of Collider Movie Talk. You want to watch more? Then click up here, or you can click right here for more great content from Collider. And if you haven't subscribed to Collider Video, do so right now and share this vid with your friends. Thanks for watching.